Hi there, everyone, and welcome to Hayward Bay International Building Your Business YouTube page. This is the entrepreneur spot for growth and growing your business. It's great to see you and be with you again. Welcome back. Today, we're going to be talking specifically about standard operating procedures, also known as SOPs. We're going to talk about this today because you need them. You need to have standard operating procedures in business to be successful, to be organized, to make things happen. What are SOPs? What are standard operating procedures? Well, they are a documented process that your company has to have in place to ensure that your goods and services that you sell, your products, are going to be delivered consistently on time. SOPs are often used to demonstrate your compliance and regulation or the operating practices and procedures for how you do business, how you conduct business, how you have things set up, your practices. It's also a document for your organization, those men and women that you have hired that are on your team to understand specifically what their tasks are and how you expect as a boss, as a CEO, how you expect for them to go about their work, how they do their work within the organization, within the team, within your business. SOPs are very important. It's not a good idea to function and to do business without some kind of process in place. Every company, regardless of your industry, should have some kind of operating procedure, a standard operating procedure. Oftentimes when a company is growing and just starting, just getting things going, you as a CEO or perhaps your management team, your manager or supervisor will make an internal decision that, okay, it's time to lay out how we do things, how we expect for things to be done. What are the ABCs, if you will, of how we perform and operate? What are the first step, second step, third step, fourth step of how we do business and our requirements? When your company reaches a specific size, as it grows, as it expands, this form of decision making can limit the capacity of growth for you and your business. And it's just a good idea. It's very, very important for any business that's looking to be organized and not be sloppy and cluttered and all over the place, to have a good standard operating procedure in place, especially when you have employees, because your employees don't always know what your expectations are, what your requirements are, what your standards are. Requirements, as we talk about the requirements for your standard operating procedures and their format, that's going to range from industry to industry, because obviously if you're in real estate, you're going to function and you're going to do business totally different than somebody who is in human resources or payrolling. If you're in construction, your standard operating procedures are going to look totally different from a barber that's in a barber shop, or someone that is in IT. If you are in janitorial services, that's going to look totally different from somebody that's selling t-shirts or boots or hats. So again, standard operating procedures, the requirements and how things are set up, and the expectation of what's to be done. What's the first step? What's the second step? What's the third step? What's the fourth step? That's going to vary from industry to industry. So depending on the type of activity your organization is undertaking, what you're doing, how you're doing it, or the regulations of your business is always going to be governed by how you expect things to be done, how things are set up, and what you perceive as this is how we do business. And you want to have that outline. You want to have it written out. You want to have it someplace where everyone has access to it, that needs to have access to it and should have it. And that is going to allow you to be organized. It's going to allow there to not be any doubt about what's going on, what's supposed to happen, who do we call if there's an injury on a job, what happens if we run out of equipment, how are we supposed to install something. Again, a standard operating procedure is a step-by-step document that you have in place for your organization, for your business, for your company, with the requirements and criteria for how things are to be done. It's a good idea. If you don't have a standard operating procedure, to start working on a standard operating procedure and then get one in place that you can put your hands on, and that your staff or your manager or your superintendent or your supervisor, whoever is in charge, can put their hands on when they need it. Now, let's talk about why SOPs, procedures, policies are so important. Standard operating procedures, they help you evaluate more than what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. They help you to decide how to move forward, how to plan, how to set up a strategic plan for the future, how to forecast. And so when you have a SOP in place, you can do this. Imagine if your organization is looking to implement a new document management software, or maybe an intranet, or maybe a new payroll system, whatever it is, to determine what the software is that you want to purchase, or you need to know how your employees are going to use it, how it's going to affect your business process, and they need to know how they're going to use it and how it's going to affect the process. So if you have a complete and thorough standard operating procedure that's in place, you can always use it to evaluate new software, to evaluate new processes, to evaluate new tools that you're using, like a intranet or a payroll system or an invoicing system, whatever it is that you need for your specific industry and your business. You can evaluate, and you can look at the strengths and the weaknesses. And that's why it's important to have a SOP in place, because when you are able to fully understand your current process, it's all laid out for you to see, to evaluate, to understand, for your team to see, evaluate, and understand, your management team to see, evaluate, and understand, then guess what you can do? You can make the best choice, always. You can make the best choice for your business and for your organization. I have been working with standard operating procedures for over 25 years. I have always found an SOP to be useful, to be one of the best and useful business tools, because it communicates, it speaks to what's going on and what needs to go on. It communicates the correct way of carrying out the activities, the day-to-day activities that you expect and that you want within your organization, within your business. It also ascertains consistency. Yeah, you want consistency. One of the number one reasons why SOP is useful is consistency. Consistency in how you carry out a particular task or activity. And the more consistent that a process is from person to person, the less chance there will be of pitfalls and challenges and problems. Excuse me. So you want to make sure that you have a SOP for consistency's sake. Also, it will reduce errors. I mean, just imagine if you as a CEO or a boss or a manager, say you're out of town. you're not in the office or you're not on the job site, if you got a standard operating procedure in place, now you've got a written procedure that details and outlines a set of instructions for performing a specific task. There's no question about what you want and what needs to happen. As long as each and every individual on the team performs the task as it is laid out and that it is written, guess what? There's a greater chance of reducing errors. And guess what? You want to reduce errors because you don't want any problems. You don't want issues. Issues cost money, and you don't want to be throwing money out the window unnecessarily. Finally, why is the SOP so important? Communication. Communication is another great reason for having it in your organization. It's a huge benefit. Communication is necessary. And your standard operating procedure communicates with everybody and anybody involved what's going on with improvements, with policy, with process, this communication being laid out for everybody within the organization, and even for you as a leader, as a business owner, or as a manager. Sometimes having these standard operating procedures are good for you because maybe you haven't been doing this particular job for a while. You haven't seen it for a while. And so it trains you as much as it trains your people. It informs you, it updates you, it keeps you current to the events that's going on within your organization. So even updating your SOPs and making sure that they are current on a day-to-day, month-to-month, quarter-to-quarter, year-to-year basis is a great idea. So, do you think it's a good idea to have a standard operating procedure now if you don't have one? I would say yes, it is. It's a great idea to have a SOP, standard operating procedure. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for joining. I'm Coach Tawanna of Hayward Bay International. Hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Every time I go live, every time we're sharing new content, if you hit the bell, this content will automatically be shared with you. If you like this content, you know this content is useful and helpful, share it. Sharing is caring. I look forward to seeing you next time. This is where you get to learn and grow. This is the Entrepreneur Spot where we support you, we give you a plan, we show and share with you opportunities, and there's always premium training. It's good to be with you again. Take care. We'll see you next time. And don't forget, if you don't have it already, get started on those SOPs. Bye now.